at a time. My producer, please, can you grant me the right to share? He's asking me to get a request.
All right, done. So
Let me know when you've done that.
done.
So Barnabas, welcome. Thanks for joining. So like I said, T-Mac is my name. I'm from the NGO, Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative, where we are super passionate about world transformation, one man at a time, one community at a time. And what we are having today is a continuation of the session that we started about 2 months ago, meaning I think this is the third edition. Producer, I hope I'm correct. I think this is number 3 of the series, at least 3 or 4. I can't remember very well now.
Yes, number 3.
And number 3, yeah?
Yes.
Thank you. And it's something I'm super excited about for those who are online right now and those that are going to join us down the line, because it's something that is relevant to everybody. And if you get a hang of this, it can make a lot of difference in how you live and how you flourish and what happens to you in life. But for the purpose of those who are joining us for the first time, let's just quickly run through who we are. T-Mac is my name. And the name of the organization, once again, is Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative. We are an NGO that is about human and capital development, and we are passionate about world transformation. And we believe when we start one man at a time, one community at a time, we are able to make a difference in transforming the world. One of the products from the Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative is HeyCoach. And this is a product that we conceived about 3 years ago now, counting, where we sought to provide real-time online crowdsourcing coaching services to the professional. Whether you're an employee or you're an entrepreneur, this is the channel that you need to belong to. Because every day I found out that I was getting torn into shreds, everybody trying to pick my brain on, what do you say about this? What do you say about that? By starting the group, you can just join, drop a question either anonymously or you drop it with the admin that can then share it with the group. And you'll be shocked how much of experience you can harvest that gives you a more sure footing as far as whatever decision you are trying to take is concerned. And to complement that is this monthly intervention that we have last Saturday of every month, where we just pick a topic and we share experience. And the session is not necessarily a training, it's more around experience sharing and it's about perspective sharing. And therefore, as we go through the session, periodically we are going to pause and ask for those online or those with us to share their experience with us, and we can learn together, grow together, and become better. All right, that's what this is all about. As you have seen, we try to keep time. We've never been late. And if you have anything to say and we give you the opportunity as much as possible, please keep it short and crisp so that we can have as many contributors as possible. And if you like to be a part of the back room or the back office, not the other room, if you like to be a part of the back office of this program, please reach out to us. We'll be very glad to have you join us so that we can enrich it. And one of the things we are not very good at is the publicity part of this. So if this is useful to you, we have over 160 videos on our YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative, and you will see a plethora of videos that cover everything from going to interviews, switching from 9 to 5, managing your manager, mind management, It was actually run like a curriculum for, I think, the first 2.5 years, just going layer by layer. And they're very short videos that you will find very useful. So we invite you to use these resources. We are very passionate about building sustainable individual and institution. And anyhow we're able to help you, we will be very glad. This is absolutely free. There are no catch there. Now, we have a lot to try and walk through today, and I will really like us to finish this module today, but I was going through it. I'm not entirely sure we will be able to, because the last thing I also want to do is to be in such a hurry that we are not able to enjoy the journey or taste the wine while we are shaking it. So let's see how far we can go. My desire to have this completed this month is because typically from October to November, we focus on planning for the new year, and we do not want to break that tradition. So if for whatever reason we cannot finish this today, then we would have to start with this from the second edition in the new year, the Lord tarry and sparing in our lives, because we like to also start the new year pushing and encouraging people to be intentional with the year. But let's see how that goes. So if you've been with us for the last 2, 3 episodes, we've been focusing on this topic, which is about winning in a changing world of work. This is something that's been very, very heavy for me, because where I sit as a coach, where I sit as a mentor, where I sit as a facilitator, I realize that a lot of people are struggling. There is this vacuum in work. And the question is, how do you win? Some run after money, they get the money, and then they get super frustrated. And because they cannot even properly realign their mind, they are confused. Because on one hand, they have built up a lifestyle that they think is more important than finding fulfillment, finding meaning, finding purpose. And they don't even know how to navigate in what success is, because they cannot clearly define what success is. And this is what led to this topic that we are having the third series today. So if by any chance you missed the first 2 series, like I said, go to our YouTube channel. You'll find it there, or you'll find them there, as well as so many other material that are useful for you, and then you can thrive and benefit from the content. So today, I'm not going to go through so much detail because, like I said, we have a lot to cover, but I will do a quick recap of the first 2 episodes. And the core of the message is that whether you are an entrepreneur or you are an employee, you need to know that work is more than just earning a living. Work is more than just a title, an identity. Work is life, it's meaning, it's therapy, it's one thing that determines the quality of life. Over the last couple of months, this year has been pretty chaotic for me. I have been chasing my tail since about May. And sometimes I zoom out and I say, how I wish this is translating to the right level of financial independence that I am building up to. How I wish that is faster. But then I remember that there had been times in my journey when I was just looking for meaningful work to do, where waking up and closing, going and coming was just one empty routine. And believe me, I would take what I'm dealing with 10 times compared to that opportunity. And that really is the message, that work is more than salary. Work is more than an identity. Who are you? Like John said last episode, who are you? Before you say two things, you are already talking about your career. Work is more than that. Work is far more than that. And that is the reason why in this episode, what we are doing is to see how to illuminate your minds along all of this so that you are more informed, you are more guided, and you are more empowered to make life count. So it is not about going through Monday to Friday and dying, just dying Monday to Friday. So when I hear people say thank God it's Friday, I just pity them. Not like the weekend is not great, but that's how, if that is how you live, I'm not sure you have really lived more than 1/5 of your entire life, because that's 1/5 or maybe over 7 or maybe 2, because by Sunday evening or by Saturday night some people are already sad because they have to go to work again on Monday. So this is major. It is not about, it is, work is not just about daily bread. Work is not just about um, work is not just about dragging and having an identity. It's about meaning. It's about purpose. It's about fulfillment. That is what we are talking about. And in that light, we've shared the story. The summary of this story about Tolu is just that in this generation, work is a completely different ball game. I remember when my parents come around and they see me at home. Whenever they see me at home, the impression is I've not gone to work. I'm not working. Like I am just faffing around. And I just stopped trying to explain to them because it's difficult for them to understand. In their own generation, their definition of work is very different. Work is a thing, it's a place, and it's a defined time. I say that again. In their generation, work is a thing, something they have to do, a specific routine. Work is a place. It is not about this branch or that branch. It's a fixed space, a fixed seat, and it's a time duration. You start at this time and you close at this time. You have no freedom to choose when you are starting or when you are ending or anything. That's how they understand work. So when they see me, sometimes they see me at 8 o'clock, at 9, and they are wondering I'm not yet out of the house. I'm enjoying. I just shake my head because sometimes I've already done 4 meetings. I've worked somebody from China who is 7 hours ahead. So I start my day at 2 a.m., 2:30. Okay, so it's a completely different world, and if you do not know what has changed, how do you prepare for it? And that is why we are running through this. And if you are following as well, you know that typically we will do something um, academic every time we want to embark on any series, just to situate it properly. And what the academics are saying is that work is going to change, as in the rate at which I was shocked this afternoon. I saw an advert from, which institution is this? So an advert from one of government institutions, and they are still hiring for confidential secretary. Which institution was this? Confidential secretary. NUC. I saw an NUC advert today, and they are still advertising for confidential secretary. And I say, what? Do roles like this still exist? Work is changing. As in, there are careers that started about a year ago that are no longer available. There was a time when a program was running to say prompt engineering for AI. I'm not sure anybody is still trying to do prompt engineering or like that anymore. So the world of work is changing. The reality, therefore, is that you cannot run away from it. And if you want to succeed, if life is what we have said, and you really want to succeed, then you must know what is changing and you must prepare yourself for it. So, In summary, the key concept we are following is that yes, we need to survive. So we have to work. But beyond survival, it's about identity. Yes, many people, I remember when I left MTN, for like a year, I was lost because anytime I tell people, when they say me, where are you? Are you still with MTN? I say, no. Hey, story has to start. You have to explain. At that time, all this entrepreneurship, all this freelance wasn't this, and I'm talking 2007, wasn't this rampant. So you have to start explaining. So work is about identity, but believe me, work is more than survival or identity. Work can also be about expression, where you are alive, where you show who you are. And the question I have here is that when you talk about expression, you bring your skills, you add purpose to it, and then you create impact. How do you get to that point? That's what we are talking about. It can even go beyond the expression and become meaning, where you wake up every day and you are engaged in something meaningful. And in the course of this week, I read something about success. And I'm still trying to go back to it and develop it a little further. That success is about a few things. But the one that struck me very strongly is about doing meaningful work. Meaningful work is at the core of whatever definition. Because you see, people think that money is what defines success. And I tell them, money is like salt. When it's not in any food or stew, soup or stew, to sprinkle a little to give it the taste. So you miss it. So when you are broke, oh, everything looks like money. But trust me, money is like salt. There's only so much you can have. That's why people that are rich, the Bill Gates, the Steve Jobs, you find out that when they reach certain level, their first interest, the Warren Buffett, is how to give away the money in a structured manner, because what is it useful for? You have a house, you cannot live in more than one room, you cannot drive more than one car. So work is beyond money. Work is beyond salary. Work is about meaning. And when you get that, what we are trying to then share in this series is to see to it that everybody that gets to consume this content understand what work really is, but more than that, understand how to have meaningful work in this generation. Okay? And what we have done is to then trace it. Where did work start from? How did this start? Try to dimension it around 9 parameters. It's more like storytelling. And I want to thank John for the beautiful job he's done with the slides and for what he did last month, telling the story. But it's beyond that. It's to say, how has it evolved? So that you understand the times that you are standing in, the times that we are in. And then you are prepared to optimize and exploit it, because the level of change that has happened in the last 5 years is probably more than what has happened in the previous 100 before then. And the speed, the velocity, the impact going forward will even be much faster, which is why everybody got to brace up and prepare for what is coming. So, last episode, John went through 3 eras. What we've tried to do is to slice history into the different era, so that we're able to then show how things have evolved in preparation of pointing the fingers in terms of what is expected in the years ahead. And without trying to go over all the things that Jonah's done, I just want to draw your attention to the last two columns here on the technology and the meaning of winning. The emphasis is actually on the meaning of winning, because the whole essence of this episode is how can you win? Yes, you. Whether you are an entrepreneur or you are an employee or you are both, how can you win? So, if you look at the three areas that were covered last episode, the hunter gatherer, the agriculture era, and the pre-industrial era, a few things are common. You find out that they were largely men. You find out that it was largely by brute force, very minimal intellectual engagement. You find out that because it was largely brute and very intuitive, then what you find is that those that came to the market first became the reference point. I tell this story very often. Before technology came, even if you want to become a farmer as a boy or as a man, your father, and I'm speaking because I grew up in the village, has to take you to the farm and show you the land and tell you the boundaries and say, this one doesn't belong to me. You see, from that tree to that tree is our own. In fact, sometimes you have to be taken through the path a couple of times before you can find your way there. It's your father that tells you, be careful for this, it can irritate your skin, unless you are going to pay by very expensive experience. He's the one that knows when to start to plant, because there's nothing to go by. So, which is why mostly for this generation, a lot of it familial is about the family. If you can relate with this, you get up till now, you get to some states, to some villages in the interior of Nigeria, and you find out that the family has been blacksmith, or they have been welders, or they have been wine tappers, and you find that generation, this is the fifth generation or the sixth generation, they carry it on. Why? Because there was no other way to acquire skills. The natural tendency is to follow what your dad or mom did for their career. In Ibadan, yesterday, the new Ibadan was crowned. You will find that the drummers, those people that do the talking drum, if you go and investigate, that's why you have names like Anyon. They may have been doing it for 7 generations. That's how career has evolved until you got to the digital age, and I'm going to get there in a bit. But for the phases that have been covered, you will find out that technology was very low. If there was at all, very limited. You find out that it was largely around the brute force. It's about your energy, it's about your ability to stay with the institution. It was hierarchical. If they don't teach you, there's no other way to find it. If you are not shown the ropes, there's another way to see it. If the institution ejected you, you are more or less like an outcast, because everything was organized around the institution. But now, as time went on, things started to change. So today, or left in this content, we need to walk through the industrial era, the post-industrial era, the digital age, the hybrid or remote work era, and then the AI era, which is the one that we are just starting and everybody is still scratching their heads as to how this is going to go. So, fasten your seatbelt, get ready for the ride. I'm not sure whether we are going to land today, but let's see how far we can go. If you are with me so far, if you can talk where you are, can you unmute and say yeah, yeah? Or you go to the chat box and just say, and just give me emojis and give me thumbs up. I want to be sure that I have I have your attention and that you are with me. Yes, yes, let me feel you. Let me feel you. Anybody will feel like saying anything yet? Okay, Sister Layo, thank you. If you can talk or you want to say anything, good to have you here. Yes, yes, yes. Guest, if you can change your name, this guest, so that we know who you are, that would be great. So let's, I see a couple of guests here. If you can change your name, but if you are here and you can say something or give an emoji, that's fine. So let's go. So the emphasis of this journey I'm about to trace is not from an anthropological or sociological perspective. We are just tracing the journey as a context to identify what winning meant in this different era, so that nobody in the new era is still trying to win based on the template of the old era. I will say it again. The reason why we are doing this trace is that it is the dress of the season that you wear for the season. Don't try to be winning in this season when the formula for winning has moved from what it was in the previous era. If you follow football, there was a time when a goalkeeper could catch the ball with his hands if there was a back pass. But the rule has changed. If there's a back pass now, and a goalkeeper from the prehistoric era is trying to catch the ball with his hand, it's going to result in a free kick against his team, and it can result in a goal. Okay? And that is exactly what we are trying to avoid. But the problem is, for the generation that we are speaking to, many of them are not familiar with the old template for winning. But because there is very little to go with in the new season, they do not know what winning means or what it looks like. That is why we are running through this. So, from the hunter-gatherer to the agricultural era to the pre-industrial era, now we want to focus on the industrial era. This was from about 1760 to about 1950. And the 9 dimensions we are focusing on are what you see on the screen. The first question is, in the industrial era, what is the profile of the worker? The worker in that era still were mostly men. So this is where the heavy machine started. I think Germany was the first to have the printing machine. They were very heavy equipment. It required a lot of heat. There was not much like AC where you can afford to have the work condition amenable and acceptable or friendly to everybody. So you have to be physically strong and very, very ready to give it a hefty push for you to find a space in the world of work when it comes to the industrial era. And of course, the office were the factories. So whether these are factories where manufacturing took place, or places like this where you have stenographers typing, creating stuff, it was very in situ. It was a single place where you have your own desk or your own position on it. And when you think work, that's what comes to mind. And of course, in that era, the work culture was about how much are you producing. Some people were paid per hour, some people were paid per unit of production. It was all about the supply chain. If you're a student of economics, you remember Taylor, is it Taylor now, that did the work study and was trying to measure how many minutes does it take to do something, and standardization. That was what it was. And of course, therefore, the management style was very hierarchical. Like I said, It was the person that was ahead of the pack who, either by virtue of age or by virtue of exposure, had the superior knowledge. Mostly he, I was going to say he or she, but mostly he was responsible for what gets done. And his word was the law, and his word was nothing to be contested. Not because nobody wanted to contest, but you have no basis. There is no reference point outside what you are told. And if you want to experiment, go and start your own factory. And of course, it wasn't straightforward. It requires a lot of effort and money. And of course, therefore, what kind of leadership style will you expect apart from being autocratic and very directive? Not necessarily because those people were bad people, but because if you cannot contribute to the conversation, what's the point of asking for your opinion? You have never seen it before. There was no book to read. We take a lot of things for granted right now, and I'm building up to something, and I hope everybody can sense it. And this conversation even goes beyond work. If you're a parent here, or you're an aspiring parent, you need to pay attention because it's all intertwined, it's all connected. So there was no reference point. Whatever your father told you it was, is what it was. Whatever your boss told you it was, is what it was. I remember joining Schlumberger in 1997. I'm an accountant, those who do not know. Or one of the things I am is accounting. And I was start serving with Schlumberger, Gico Prakla. That's one of the companies in Port Harcourt as an accountant. And this was 97, was the beginning of computerization. I will get to it. And I entered that company, and the ERP they were using then was QuickBooks. There were no manual, there was no YouTube to go and watch how to use it. But more interestingly is that in my profession as an accountant, one of the things you use to organize accounting is called the chart of account. There was no manual chart of account. There was no book that had a chart of account. There was an elderly man I met there, like my grandfather's age. I can't remember his name now, and that's very unusual. He had the chart of account in his head. So when I started learning how to post what you call post transaction, I had to be asking him. I had to write it down. What's petty cash? Write down the number. What is write down the number? The only thing you could do is to go to the thing and start to search and ramble around it. So if you don't have anything to fall back on, you have to ask. And if they say it is what it is, it is what it is. There is no way to say otherwise. And so when you therefore realize that there was no other source of information, and that's important, no other source of information, no other source of knowledge. What you are told is what you get, is what you have to run with, and there is no room for any debate or any English. Which is why, therefore, the expectation is you stay on that job, you continue to learn it. So if I stayed on, or if the technology didn't change, after a year, after two, if I was the one processing, I slowly now build my own chart of account in my head, and then now become the reference point. Of course, when I say my grandfather, that meant that at some point he was going to go, and then I would now take over his position and then become the next oracle inside the organization. So if you are looking for information, it's me you are going to come to, because I've also now gone through my apprenticeship to get to that level. So the expectation therefore was stay there, master it, don't offend anybody, don't steal, don't commit any crime, and you have a job for life. Because as it affected you, the individual, the organization also ran the risk of losing institutional knowledge if you decide to move. But the problem is the knowledge was not very transferable. So I was with Schlumberger, Jikro Prakla using QuickBooks. I wasn't even sure whether everybody in the group at that time was using QuickBooks, which meant even within the same Schlumberger group, my movement or career mobility was very limited. And so, both for the organization and for the employee, It is until death do us part. How do they say it now? Until death do us part. That's it. And of course, it's about keeping everybody happy. How many people can you retain? The good ones, so you retain the knowledge and therefore you try to pay them. Yes, you have some organizations that were paying over time, but it was about come, do your job, earn your pay, and go. Like I said, technology was very limited. It was all in one place. I mean, you think about to even have a computer in your office in this time was a luxury. How dare you think of something you can take home and work on the go and work anywhere? I have one of my ladies now who is in Malta and she's working for a Nigerian company. She was in Nigeria. She got the job in Nigeria. She got tired and wanted to just relocate and she packed up her bag and went to Malta. And the company thought she was valuable enough. And so she's in Malta working for who dash monkey banana. How was it going to happen? The thing wasn't there. I'm using all these experiences because I'm building up to something. It's about how do we win. So in this era, what did meaning or what was how do you say the English now? In that era, what did it mean to win? It's about becoming the boss. It's about climbing the ladder step by step. Don't offend anybody. Don't commit any crime. Master your craft, and then you can go up the ladder. And if you are fortunate and the variables play in your favor, because the problem then is at this time, all this era of retirement age wasn't this strong. So if you are unfortunate to have a young person as a boss, where the age gap wasn't so wide, you may never become the boss because by the time the person is leaving, you also may have to leave. Okay, so that was the industrial era. Then came the post-industrial era. The major difference between the industrial and the post-industrial was the proliferation of technology. The advancement of technology became more widespread. The adoption, so the first one I said was advancement, then the adoption became more widespread. And as a result, you find out that the need for non-physical brute force roles start to emerge because with the proliferation of technology, it then means that nobody now had the monopoly. I always give the example of DSTV. When I was growing up as a child, before you can even dream of having DSTV in your house, your father must have like half a plot that is ready to dedicate to the dish. Because when the dish is coming, it is flat bed that will carry it. The whole town will know that dish is coming. They are going to hire what they call hayab. Is one kind of equipment that will lift it from the back of the flatbed, put it down. It was a project. The entire village will come and be opening mouth for days when they are installing it. But as technology became more proliferated, there can be 100 DSTV dishes in a particular hotel, and nobody will even notice when it is being installed. So it therefore meant that all individuals and organizations have to find creative ways to differentiate themselves because it has now become a commodity. And so you now find out that other disciplines started to emerge: finance, strategy, reporting, all of that started coming on. And then, even though the office was still in situ, you started now having offices. So I have some of my ladies or some of my guys that have an office on the island, have an office on the mainland. There are days they work on the island, there are days they go to the mainland. If anything happens and they're not able to find their way to the island, they can go there. It's them organization. Technology allows them to move around. Then you now have a lot more options in terms of technology. This was still largely the beginning of photocopiers. It used to be typewriter, kpaka, 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 brrrr, gba, jigi, jigi, jigi. You have to set the paper very well. It's interesting. I enjoy my generation, you know. We are about the one that has had the best part of everything. We saw the old, we participated in it, we learned a few things there, we enjoyed it, and right before our eyes, everything has changed. Okay? So I was telling them in Lagos Business School, I teach there. I was telling them one of my classes recently that has anybody stopped to think about it that at some point, and I need some reaction here, if you were old enough to know this story I'm telling, please just give me reactions. That at some point, ringtones, ringtones was a major industry that companies were set up just to do ringtones. Is anybody on this call experience that? As saying that was all the company was set up to do. So this one that Ashake has released a song, a company will convert it into ringtone and sell to people so that when their phone rings, that is the song that is going to be played. Anybody experience that here? If you did, you can send a message or you can unmute and
No,
talk.
not me, sir.
Not you. Yeah, there was a time when that was technology. And I mean, and that was a company. In fact, I managed one. I was the MD of one. It's gone. Now, ringtone is you don't even think about it. It comes native. So the point is, it's moving so rapidly. And I'm talking about 2007, 8, 2005, 6, 7. Slowly, 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 and then technology has overtaken it. So the point is, at this during this era, the post-industrial, technology became more widespread. And so, because there were now different skill sets required, and by the way, you now found women getting more into this space because it was no longer about the brute force, which was very discriminatory against the female gender. It was now a lot about the intellectual, your creativity, and that allowed more women into the game. And as a result, you then have that it was more KPI driven, targets were being set, goals were being agreed. It was then a matter of who is able to achieve it best. So talent started to emerge, and you then see organization trying to differentiate themselves because technology was no longer a differentiator. You have to find other ways, and this was the beginning of trying to build a brand and invest in the different touch points to ensure that the brand is standing out. Okay, and of course, what do you expect? Because there were now different skill sets required around the table, the control that the seniors and the elders and those that came to the market first, the controls that they had started to weaken. They now had, by virtue of the plethora and the multiplicity of the skill set and perspective around the table, great organization then started to de-emphasize the dominant autocratic directive boss to then see how they can benefit from the different thoughts so that they can have the most robust outcome. Again, it wasn't because they wanted to, because power is never relinquished. because it was becoming apparent that you have to have that the richer your perspective, the better your chances of differentiating and winning in the market. But even still, power belongs to the boss. Why? Everything is still tied around the institution. So even though the boss will try to listen, he still has the right to hire and fire. And if you cannot find a place in any corporate organization, you struggle because what else would you do? Whatever you do in this era, if to even see a computer, particularly in the third world, was a difficult thing. It wasn't cheap to buy unless you came from a very rich home. If you even succeed in buying a computer, I mean, until 2001, when Nigeria started interesting, there was a time when to even use your phone as a modem, you have to have an IT skill or find an IT person to help you set it up. It wasn't a matter of just flipping it and turning up a button and you have hotspot. For you to use your phone as hotspot, they have to come and configure it. So even if you succeed in buying a PC, in fact, the mobile phone at that time, at the first set, all they could do was make a phone call. Thanks to Apple, things like that to change 2007. So, if you do not belong to an institution, where will you get internet from? I mean, I'm sure many people here remember the days of cyber cafe. You have to go there and sit down and be waiting. So, it wasn't convenient. It was not mobile. You had to belong to the institution to flourish. And so, the power of the institution and the power of the boss was still there all along this generation. I mean, this era. Okay? And so you then see that the career expectation was still stay in, flourish, so you can get the corner office, so you can get the official car, you can rise up the ladder, and then you have a louder voice, even though you are no longer the lone voice, but you now have a louder voice. And at this point, because of the level of education and because of the commonality of certain competencies. So if you're a finance person and you know how to manage finance, you can do it in different organizations. It was no longer narrow, like if you're a printer, you are a printer, and that's all you can do. And so some measure of mobility, and then if you're an accountant, you're an engineer, you can work within certain industries because your skills all of a sudden became more transferable. So how were they compensated? By salary, by perks, by benefit, by incentives, by the extra, so that slowly they start to climb and they start to acquire a status. Of course, what makes it post industrial was that technology was again spreading. And so telecommunication moved from fixed wireless to mobile and then to web. And all of a sudden, boom, things started to change. So winning in this era was about how quickly do you get to the top. The difference now is that that top was no longer just with a particular company. Could your way to the top could be because you've moved through to get to the top, and slowly subject matter expertise started to count. So you have domain profiles. So you have people who are tax experts. You have people who are ICT expert. You have people who are human resource expert. So you now saw people trying to profile themselves and build a presence that communicated that they were subject matter expert. Then we came into the digital age. And in this age, all the rules were broken. This was from about 1995, depending on where you are in the world. It came a little later to us here because in Nigeria, as an example, digital age was not unleashed on us until 2001, 2002. That was when we had mobile phone, and then the technology caught on to the point where we now have mobile internet, and then everything now got accelerated with that. But with the digital age, all the rules before then were broken. And that's why I'm asking, that's why I asked this question. And I really like to have some participation now. If you look at the first set of errors that we have spoken about, you have the hunter-gatherer. Yes, who can help me? Let me see who is with me. What were the stages that we had, the errors that we had? Hunter-gatherer, and then what?
Agricultural,
Yes, two.
pre-industrial,
Yes, three.
industrial,
That's four.
post-industrial,
That's five.
digital.
So if you take from hunter-gatherer to post-industrial, what do you see as the common thread that shaped everything else? Anybody? Please feel free to unmute, have a conversation. What do you think, if you zoom out based on what we've shared and based on your perception or knowledge or your thought about it, what do you think were the major drivers for this era that we have explored? Anybody? You can type, you can talk if you are here. What do you think were the major drivers? What was common? I will start calling names. So, Modupe, are you where you can talk? What do you think? Mr. Aluko, are you where you can talk? Can you contribute to this conversation? What do you think was common to this era, hunter-gatherer to industrial? It looks like I'm home alone. Titi Layo, are you there? Can you talk? What do you think was common to all this era that we have explored? Ah, the Ashiri has too, though. It looks like I've been home alone all along.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
I can hear you, sir.
One of the things, yes, sir. One of the things I think is one growth and innovation. Growth
Yes,
and innovation.
yes, yes, yes. I take that. Yes. Any other contribution?
Growth and innovation.
Yes, you are spot on, sir. Any other
Yes, sir.
contribution? Yes. Any other contribution? Thank you, Mr. Luko. I want more voices around this conversation. What do you think was common, whether it is the hunter-gatherer, the agriculture, pre-industrial, industrial, post-industrial? What do you think was common? Ha. What's happening today? Who is this guest? Can we meet you? Okay. If you have abandoned me, then let me just continue. Let me continue by myself. Thank you, Mr. Aluko, for not letting me by myself. So,
There's something in the comments.
yeah, I'm seeing that now. Yeah, Modupe said taking order from father and the boss. Yes, I agree. That was common. Yes, very correct. Yes, any more? Any more? So I abstracted out these three things as being the major driver of this generation. The first one was inclusivity. You notice that even where the ladies or the female folks had the opportunity to participate, they were largely subservient, they were largely an appendage, and there was very, very little space for anybody who was not an adult. And note that, very little space for anybody who was not an adult. Okay? The second thing that was common is the knowledge flow, which is what Modupe spoke about. There was only one pipe that carried the knowledge, only one pipe that carried that information. If you are not at the end of that pipe, you couldn't get it anywhere else. And I hope that this generation I'm speaking to, I hope they are listening, because there is a trap here, and I hope I get to it before I finish. And the third was that technology drove everything. Everything was driven by technology. And because technology was limited, what you find is that this era was around the physical exertion. How much power do you have? That was the level of technology that existed at that time. So for this era that we are talking about, technology was limited and the physical energy had to make up for it. So for success, which is the point we are landing now, success in that generation was through a defined pipeline. And that pipeline was flowing from established institution, whether it was a family institution. I mean, in those days, if you are ostracized from a family, it's difficult for you to even find land on which you can plant anything. So success was as defined by the institution and it flowed from them, and therefore compliance and alignment were critical success factor. Technology doing the biggest, being the biggest differentiator, meaning where there was no technology, you had to wait for the pipeline. Where there's technology, then technology becomes what defines everything else. Now, let's move along to the digital age. What do you then find? Digital age has democratized the opportunity. If you didn't get anything else, please just take that and swallow it. Technology democratized everything else. One of my ladies was telling me this last week or 2 weeks ago that a mother opened a YouTube channel for her maybe 5-year-old boy. I'm talking about Nigeria, not in the UK or anywhere, Nigeria here. For about 4-year-old or 5-year-old boy. Why? The boy is so brilliant, is so intelligent at that age. Is reading state and capital, doing multiplication, very, very intelligent. The mother just thinking, look, let them not kill this for the child. Let's have a YouTube channel, do videos and pull up, and let's see what the world will say about it. And I just shook my head. She couldn't have done that during the farming agricultural era because there was no platform on which to put it up. None. So technology has now brought everybody in, women as much as men, including boys and girls, including children. It is now a free for all because there is a channel through which you can climb and you do not need anybody's permission or approval. Mark that. Before now, the institution had to open the door for you. your parents, those that go to the market early had to open the door for you. Now it's democracy. One man, one vote. The concept of office being in one place has now been permanently smashed. So office is wherever you can walk, anywhere, inside your toilet, inside the train, by the seaside, on top of the mountain, wherever you can walk, that is the office. So it is no longer, when you hear office now, office is no longer about a coordinate of longitude and latitude. You can office wherever you are able to work. And the work culture is about who can make a difference, who can contribute something that will make us win. Okay? So the name it is called, the title it is called, I was watching a program this week on channels. There was a program on Diaspora Network, and there is this lady. I'm trying to find her name now. Something Olowe. Whether I was Toyin Olowe or Toyosi. I think it was Toyosi Olowe. Her brand name is TW. She studied law and business, I think, in Warwick in the UK. She's now a painter. She's moved from the UK to Dubai, painting and doing some major gigs. All of that couldn't have been possible. And she started with KPMG.
It's like
She
Toyosi Olowe.
actually, sir,
Toyosi Olowe.
thank you. She started with KPMG as a law graduate, which is why I was talking about the fact that if work for you is all about daily bread and it's all about identity, you are going to be very frustrated. And then a few years into it, you just realize that there was emptiness. And then, interesting that what now ends her the bread and butter that's giving her the profile she has was not what she spent how many years to learn in the uni. It was the innate talent. Guess what? She started with KPMG drawing because they were initially paying somebody to do this externally. She volunteered, she applied, she got. It's a long story. I love the story. Very, very exciting for me about finding meaning in life. So, because of the diversity and the multiplicity, it's about who can bring value to the table. Whoever can bring value to the table, he is accepted. It doesn't matter what name, color, religion, creed, whatever it is. And because the skill sets are now so proliferated that no one person has all the skills. No one person can master all the skills. There's now no option apart from collaborating with everybody, giving everybody respect, bringing everybody around the table, and making sure that they can contribute and that you can listen to them and you can leverage on their strengths and do what we call collective work, crowdsourcing, so that the organization can win. Of course, there's no space for directive here. There's no space for autocracy here. Otherwise, you're just going to be commanding yourself. So all of a sudden now, leadership style has to be more transformational, more collaborative, more allowing people to find their rhythm as long as they are contributing to the journey and they are making a difference in the workplace. Era of until death do us part, as far as career is concerned, is now permanently dead and buried. In fact, research shows that most of the Gen Zs expect that they are going to change jobs many, many, many times in their career. And if you add the fact that the nature of work is also changing so rapidly, then it becomes very clear that to succeed in this world that we are talking about, you have to have a mix of different experiences, because that will make you stand out in the market, which is the reason why even organizations are looking for people that have seen a bit of this and that and that. So compensation then has to be for the most skilled, and it's now a mix of everything. You not only get salary, you not only get perks, you not only get benefits, you now find organization offering shares, offering profit, offering equity, offering profit sharing, offering flexi work time, anything that can help you to attract and retain the talent, anything. Some are monetary, some are non-monetary. It is driven largely by the mobile internet, by the mobile technology, by the internet services. That has changed everything. And this is where we are going. To win here is now no longer about whether you have now reason to become the MD, because you can become your own MD. How big your income is now completely up to you. The question now is, how many organizations do you have a stake in? What is your portfolio? How many companies do you have this share, this stake, that share, that stake? If you slow down and compare these to even the industrial era that wasn't too far away, you can see the major shift in what win looks like. Now, let me pause here before I get to the last two. I'm able to finish that today. The point I'm making is, in this era, success is directly proportional to your productivity. How equipped are you for this generation? How equipped are you for this era? How much difference can you make in this era? If you are not every day worrying about productivity, you will soon be extinct, because the competition, there are no more boundaries. Like I said, somebody's in Malta working for Nigeria, somebody in the UK can take your job, somebody in the US can take your job. You can go and take the job, somebody in Canada, take the job, somebody in Ukraine. It's about what value can you create. So a lady can leave Nigeria, go to the UK, study law, then become a writer, become a painter, and then end up in Dubai, and then be doing work in the Middle East. There are no boundaries. To win in this generation, to win in this era, is about how much punch do you pack? How much skills do you have? How much difference can you make? Now, note the word skills, because it then takes us to the next era, which is the hybrid remote work era. Is not too far away from the digital era. The only difference now is that the nature of the work has now completely changed. Okay? So it can be anywhere, wherever you can find the internet, wherever you are available to work. That is where work is. It's not very far away from the digital. The only difference is it is now an institutionalized system where we can work out whatever arrangement that works for both of us, as long as we consider you valuable to the organization. Okay, but when you fast track this, okay, look, I can end this today, and you get to the era of artificial intelligence, where you have the human and the technology collaboration, the human and the technology interaction, then you realize that the skills that I was talking about it's a very amorphous definition because the machine is also now part of the workforce. I don't know if you got that. It used to be largely men. Then technology opened the gate, and then, industrialization opened the gate a little for women. Then technology broke the door and opened the way for both women and children and boys and girls. Artificial intelligence has now introduced, wait for it, a more potent person, that is not as tired as human beings can be, that doesn't carry any of the degradation and obsolescence that human beings carry. And that thing is the artificial intelligence. And it is coming for your job. It won't take your job, but those that know how to work with this new worker, they are the ones that will take your job. So, what is now skill is a constant chase. Right now, the thinking is that anything that can be standardized, automated, repeatable, AI can take them over. But as new generations of AI is also coming up that can generate that are more intelligent, that are more human, more humane, you find out that even what is currently considered out of the reach of artificial intelligence start falling within that reach. And this is where winning now becomes a matter that you have to pay close attention to. To win, you need to understand that office is no longer even just location. Office is now about realm. It's between the real world and the virtual world and the metaverse and all the things that go with it. And it is the line between all of these things are now becoming very, very, very blurry. Okay? It is now a matter of the person who has the skill, the culture is to attract the persons. And I'm not saying the individual, the persons, including AI, that has that right skill that can do whatever the organization wants to do. So if it's about data analytics and we have machines that have been trained that can do it better, give us better analysis, better diagnosis, better prediction, the human is out of the door. So management style and the leadership style are all around how do we make the most of the two worlds? How do we get the human and the technology synergy to go to the next level? How do we get the interface to flourish? That is what it is all about. And the expectation, therefore, is it's all up to you. All the tools are there. Create your world. Rule your universe. Rule your universe. You can only go as far as you are willing to invest and attempt. Some you will fail, some you will succeed, but there is no hiding place for anybody right now. It's now all up to you to find everything that can make you relevant, that can increase your value in the market, because that is what is compensated. It is everything on the table. Even organizations are willing to hand over the realm and control to individuals who are ready to run it as long as they can give them more value. And of course, this is powered by technology and it is changing everything. And this is where and why find an escape by just staying on the deliberate survival mode or just staying on the identity lane is no longer going to be an option in the nearest future. This is going to force everybody to find meaning. You know why? The only place where you will flourish and thrive is when purpose is added to your skills and you're able to channel it to the point of impact. It's about when you are able to find meaning in what you are doing. Then you go into your state of flow, like psychology will call it. You are able to do your creativity. You are able to deliver your impact. And then not only will the world have a space for you, you will enjoy what you are doing. So it is now a complete free-for-all fight that is out there. Winning in this era is completely up to you. In the prior era, you could hide under the corporate profile. In the other eras, you could hide under the corporate identity. In the other profile, you could hide under any available corner where you can shook your head, like we say in local parlance. But in this one, there is no hiding space at all, because with more powerful AI models coming out, with more powerful adoption of those models to everyday need, there is no space for sentiments. Even when you are up and doing and trying to do your best in the traditional mechanical way, the level of savings or increase in productivity that technology will bring will still not make organizations keep the average worker. So, what we are saying is, it is now a race. If you want to win, you have to invest in yourself. You have to keep running. You have to keep building. You have to ensure that you have skills that are relevant, that you have skills that will differentiate you, that you have skills that will make a difference in whatever era, in whatever area that you have found yourself. There is no running anymore. So it is better that the worker, and that's all of us, because if you are not an employer, which is an entrepreneur, you are an employee. So it doesn't matter which side of the spectrum you are. It is completely up to you now to get onto this get onto this race, to mount up on this horse before it is too late. Because to win in this era will go beyond the fact that, oh, I have a certificate, I have a first class. Oh, I studied in this school and this is what I came out with. Oh, I have been working for this number of years. All of those things disappear. Winning in this era will be purely based on value. How much value are you able to bring to the table? How much value do you add to the team? How much difference do you make? If you do not pay attention to this and you are not positioning yourself, you cannot win in the world of work. And why this is very, very scary is that if work is central to our life, if God gave man work before he gave him a companion, before he gave him a community, if work is what defines our relevance, even to ourselves and our state of mental wellness, then not winning in the world of work is a very, very dangerous thing. And I say this with a lot of fear because I'm concerned that if we don't get this message out, which is why I'm appealing to you, even after this series, share this very widely. If you don't get this message out to the generation coming to brace up for what is coming, a lot of breakdowns, a lot of extreme behavior, suicide, depression, schizophrenia. We may not be far from it because it will be very pressured. And for the generation that is being built where they are feeling entitled, it's a cocktail that I'm not very excited about, which is why we have run this series. So, winning in the world of work, therefore, requires that you brace up and you do whatever you need to do to become the best version of yourself, that you find purpose, that you build skills around purpose, and that you translate those skills into impact, and that you leave nothing to chance. Because if you don't, the world of work is going to swallow a lot of people, and it will become a catastrophe that many will not even be able to relate with. So, if you have missed, I can see Deborah. Deborah, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. If you have missed, this is the third episode. If you have missed this one or you have missed the earlier two, please go to our YouTube channel. Producer, please, you can just drop it on the chat box here. Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative, and pick it up. You will learn a lot of things. So in my head, I think we are still going to have one more session now where we are now going to dimension what it means to win in the digital era and in the AI world that we are currently living in. And that most likely will happen in the new year because, like I said, from next month, we'll be focusing on how do you plan for the new year. For the first episode of 2026, the Lord Tarrying and Inspiring Our Lives, we will focus on how do you activate the execution of your plan. So most likely we will be picking this up in February just to have one more session that will now spell out what you need to do to win in this generation, in this era. And it will be a good point to actually start the new year thinking about it. So that will be all for today. It's a bit long, but I didn't want to have more than one more session left. So I hope you found it useful. We've been interacting since the beginning of the session, but the mic is open now. Anybody with any comment, contribution, questions, you have the floor. And if you can't talk, you can type so that we can just quickly take you on and land this for this month. The floor is open. Anything from anybody? Deborah, how are you doing? Who is this guest that is clapping? Can we know you? Why are you anonymous?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
I am guest, but some other people call me Olaniran Adiribigbe.
Oh, okay. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, sorry, I've been in and out because I was trying to follow. I had to attend to some other things, so I've been in and out. So it's been a great session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to hear from you. Thanks for joining. Deborah, how are you doing? I'm not sure how much of this you heard, but I hope you'll find time to check out the earlier and then this one. So we'll be landing this in the new year. Yes, anything else from anybody? All right. So a few housekeeping issues. Like I said in the beginning, the whole essence of HeyCoach is to make coaching services available to the professionals on the go. So it is free. You do not have to book time or be waiting. We have established a community on Telegram The whole essence is if there is anything you are trying to do that you need coaching or advice on, you can just go there, drop your message directly, or if you do not want to drop it directly, you can drop it with any of the admin and we will share. We will start by sharing our own perspective, but what we are trying to do is to crowdsource coaching so that different people can contribute to it and you have an enriched perspective and hopefully you get better guidance. So you will no longer be flying blind. You can take more informed decision. And that is in addition to the other relevant encouragement and tidbits and information that we share from time to time. We actually would like to have those who are more social media savvy, who may be able to join us to please come, join with us, and let's take this message out. It's completely free. We are just trying to help the professionals that we know, because the vision of development, empowerment, and leadership initiative is world transformation, one man at a time, one community at a time. Yes, Deborah, I see your message. Thanks for chiming in and thanks for joining. So, in the absence of anything else, we've gone very long today. We would like to administer a very quick survey, which the producer will put up now. So, producer, please, can we just have the survey? We would like you to please it's less than a minute. I think it's three or four questions. Just let's have what you think. And yeah, that's the survey. It's just 3 questions. So just let's know how this resonates with you. And then by His grace, we see you in October, where we will now start thinking of how do we make the most of 2026. Why? Because success is never accidental. So thank you very much for your time today. It's been a very great pleasure having all these faces around. And I hope that you have a very productive October, starting with a fantastic weekend today. Thank you very much and see you around next time. Bye.